Hello, ladies and gentlemen, Rosie here, and today we are going to take a little bit of a detour to go over a game on the App Store that is not Behavior Interactive. I don't know when this game actually came out, but like, it now has my attention. I mean, not for very long, it's a crappy mobile game, but like, for real. If you could tell by my Smash streams and who I made in Smash, I genuinely kind of care about Pac-Man. I like Pac-Man, and this game kind of passed me by. I heard nothing about it. Apparently, it's like 3 or 4 months old or something. I don't know. I could be wrong about that. That's not exactly that important to me. But if anyone doesn't know this, last year, 2020, was Pac-Man's 40th anniversary. An unfortunate number to have because of the fact that COVID hit, but it's just interesting to me that, like, for Pac-Man to he got nothing last year, dude. Like, if it was my IP, it was my IP's 40-year anniversary, I would have an announcement in 2019 that we're going to be doing something for it. I think he's getting a big new game or something. But Pac-Man, I feel like, has been grossly neglected by Namco in favor of being, like, a platform to make anime bullshit. And it's not, like, if you can make anime bullshit, I don't care, but, like, Pac-Man is an IP that's been very, very neglected and relegated to App Store games. And even then, they're mostly just like fucking ports of other games, except the official Pac-Man app, which is actually good. But it's not like I'm against them making a Pac-Man app. But like, for the 40th-year anniversary of Pac-Man, I expected something bigger. I don't know about anybody else, but like Pac-Man World 2, like the Pac-Man World series, like, a very good series of platformers, and the fact that we just got nothing like that for the 40-year anniversary was incredibly disappointing. And one of the reasons that I feel like Pac-Man is falling out of relevancy with today's gamers is the fact that they restrict him to the game where he is the most famous from. Not that that's a bad thing, because games like Championship Edition shows us that the fucking maze formula can work and, like, be adapted to modern times, but the fact that those games worked is honestly like a double-edged sword, because now Namco kind of thinks that's all Pac-Man can do. And he does have a few party games here and there, but all in all, Pac-Man's been kind of dead. And, like, which is a true shame, because I just think that he deserves so much better as a character. I think there's so much they could do with him. The fact that there isn't a Pac-Man platformer involving the Galaga like the Galaxian races invading Pac-World, I don't get how that hasn't been a game yet. But that's beside the point. Okay, so games like this right here are kind of what I mean when I say Pac-Man's been relegated to this maze formula. Now, to be fair, Pac-Man GO on paper was kind of an idea that I think it was on, like, Google Maps, like, made a joke of it one time. But, like, here's the premise of this game. This game's called Pac-Man GO, okay? And you can basically go anywhere in the world, find a random street. If I click on that arrow, it takes me right to my location, which I'm not going to do that. But, like, you can go anywhere, find a series of roads on a map, and basically just fucking play Pac-Man on it, okay? Like, we're just going to some, what is this, Africa? Is that what we just clicked on? I don't even remember what we just clicked on, guys. Spain. Okay, we can just zoom into Spain here, right here. Find a fucking road, and then that little box is us. Right here. We have to just find a section of road to isolate off. And it's kind of a bad... Okay, here, we can make something here. And you pick a road. There, let's use this. And you can play Pac-Man. Very, very neat idea on paper. Okay, and from what I've seen, the Ghost AI behaves kind of traditional to their games. Like, this is some of these Pac-Man apps have different Ghost AI, and some of the other games, they just don't have the correct Ghost AI. This one seems to have gotten it. The Ghost AI seems to be almost correct with the standard game. Now, they did have to break a few rules of Pac-Man in this game to kind of make the game work in order to get a high score, because the map layout's kind of wonky. So, like, in the real Pac-Man game, if you get another power pellet, it resets the score. In this game, it doesn't. Like, you get to keep eating ghosts, and it keeps adding up the points, which is good, because the game wouldn't work if it did that. Like, you wouldn't be able to eat enough ghosts and get enough points every time. As far as the layouts go, you can't really criticize them. And the reason I say that is because the things that we're playing on are roads. They're not meant to be Pac-Man maps. If it's a bad Pac-Man map, that's not its problem. It's meant to be a fucking road. So you can't really say, well, this game sucks because there's bad maps in it. Of course there's bad maps in it. Of course there's bad fucking Pac-Man in this. Because like there's good and bad Pac-Man in this. So just because you can't really tell the game's rules, like the rules of the game are being applied to something that was never meant to have them in the first place. So it's very, very strange. Okay, now that was okay. That one was pretty standard. A standard maze will look something like that. This game, however, does have its fair share of problems that boggles it down and makes it kind of its own unique set of issues. Okay, what I mean by that is, like, let's say you're trying to fucking play a maze, okay? Let's find a really gimmicky one. I'm trying to find I played on a really bad one earlier. Oh my goodness. I wish you could search. That's one thing. I wish you could, like, search an address or search for a landmark. And, like, maybe you can. I don't know. This one looks weird right here. Let's go down here. Okay. This one doesn't look too bad. I'm trying to find an example of a map that's just really bad. Okay, this one has some of the bad design I want to talk about in it. Some of the roads get cut off and have places of entry where you can't come out of. Exactly. There's one up there where Pinky is right now. This spot up here, you can't come out of it, so it's very easy to get yourself trapped. This is what we're going to let Blinky kill us right here, because he's going to turn in. See, we can't come out. Okay, now, I kind of wish that those parts of the level were just kind of sealed off and not actually meant to be mazes. Also, another thing that I want to complain about is in traditional Pac-Man, the ghost house is outside of the maze. In this game, the ghost house is inside the maze. That sounds very small, but it's actually huge. The fact that the ghosts actually start in on the map is really, really big, because they can just easily, just be, they're in play right away, and that's kind of a really big problem, because some of the maze design by the roads kind of makes it so if you fucking section off some of the dots that are trapped near the ghost house, you're not going to be able to actually get those dots, and you'll just get it free game over. Like, it really just kind of doesn't work in that aspect. Another issue with this game right here is the teleporters. Okay, the teleporters, as you can see, can be all over the place. You never know where you're actually going to end up. Every maze is its own unique thing, so you'll never, like, some of them are, like, these ones will be pretty consistent. It'll take you over here. It kind of follows the rules of the game. But since, like, you can't really do that every single time, you don't know where these things are going to end up shooting you. They could shoot you halfway across the map. And we're kind of going to let one of the flaws give this game exposed. So you're going right here, and then you go over here, boom, you're over here. Like, you don't know where this thing's going to ever take you. And it leads to a lot of inconsistency with your choices, which, again, it's not necessarily an issue, right? Like, you have, in every Pac-Man game, you have enough time to figure it out. But in this game, in this one game by itself, I don't know if you've seen this yet, there's a time limit. And we're not gonna get that last dot, but, like, there's a time limit, and if this time limit runs out, you die instantly, and you get a game over. Like, you don't just lose a life and then the time resets. You die and get a game over. That is hugely significant. Okay, first of all, this is the only Pac-Man game I have ever played that has a fucking time limit. Okay, like, this isn't worth getting salty over. It's not, but, like, the fact that it has a time limit means you can't take your time and carefully pick these mazes apart. And again, they're not supposed to be mazes, so they can have some bad design in them. You're not going to be able to get a perfect 2-minute run, which is what this game expects you to do. And the dot levels are inconsistent. Some maps that are cluttered and some mazes that are very, very cluttered can have a shit ton of dots in them, and it only gives you 2 minutes to do it. And then additionally, these things can be a little bit thicker and have multiple pathways to go through and collect 2 dots in the same section. So you kind of have to come back to these areas over and over and over again. And then with the inconsistent warp paths, it gets even worse. So these kind of problems, this kind of problems, oh my god. These kind of issues bog the game down. Because in a game where you kind of really need to take your time and analyze what's in front of you, the game says, no, you can't do that. You need to speed the fuck up. You need to speed the fuck up. There are some recommended mazes, so you can't just... There are some recommended mazes, so, like, you won't have to, like, go in blind. You can kind of find examples of some of, like, the better design of the game. Like, right here, this one's at the Taj Mahal, okay? So, like, this one right here, it's a pretty decent Pac-Man maze. Like, it kind of just it's kind of, like, just kind of sums up, it writes itself to be a decent fucking Pac-Man maze. But then other areas are just not decent Pac-Man mazes. Like this one right here, this is very good. So that's why this game's kind of hard to review, because it's going to have examples of good and bad Pac-Man everywhere in it because of the inconsistency of the fucking mazes. So basically, if you want examples of good Pac-Man, pretty much stick to what the game gives you. If you go off on your own and play one by your house, you're probably not going to have a very fun time because the game is just going to be wonky. But the other things I want to babble about, one last thing to bitch about here, the fucking ghosts. If the ghosts get close to you, the game like slows down annoyingly to give you like an extra amount of time to like... Oh, that's a fucking problem. The warp zone, you see that shit? The game slows down to like give you enough time to like... make an input or two, but it's so annoying. There's parts of the game where you weren't even in danger, but like the ghost, it still slows you down and is reading that a ghost is there. It's just kind of irritating. But my main gripe with this game above everything else is the fact that I just want more from this character than this tired maze formula that they just keep coming back to. I just wish they wouldn't keep doing this. I want them to make platformers again. I want Pac-Man to be a bigger part of the gaming world than just this. Like, yes, it's like he had his game, and yeah, it's great. His game is fantastic, and his game has went down in history. But like, people have moved on. It takes more than this to impress people nowadays. Like, I just wish that they embraced that. Like, the reason why Pac-Man remained relevant through the 90s was the fact that they were willing to move on and embrace the fact that, like, he needed to be something different. And the fact that he's not different anymore, that the fucking thing kind of just screwed us up there. The fact that he's not different anymore and just keeps doing this, people get tired of this nowadays. And if you want to keep him as a fucking... I just don't think he belongs as an App Store mascot, which is where this kind of road is going to keep taking him. This game is fine, because this game was one that they can get away with, because it's a neat concept. You get to play Pac-Man anywhere. I even played Pac-Man on my street. It was kind of entertaining. You can play Pac-Man, like, on roads that you know. It's funny. It's funny. It's fun. But, like... overall, this is the type of game that is killing the character. And as this one was okay, but I hope that they just get back to making platformers, because I want the character back in his former, like, glory. Like, you don't have to make him great, just, like, a decent platformer would be nice. But I just don't feel like Namco's doing that, and I feel like they need to sell the IP, in complete honesty. I wish they'd give it to somebody else that's not named Behavior Interactive. Alright, lads, that's all I gotta say. I'm not giving this game, like, a number or anything. I don't even do this traditionally. But this game just kind of both irritated me and, like, made me happy at the same time. Because it's a fun concept, but, like, overall, it just reminds me that Pac-Man is in a bad state. Okay, lads, GG's.